So I had a whole video planned for today that was going to be released. I even started editing it earlier than I usually do because of how excited I was for the success of Markiplier's Iron Lung. Here's the thing though, as I finished the video, feeling good about myself and the way it turned out, I admittedly talked about some of my gripes I had with the movie. One being that I had no clue what most of the stuff that was happening means. I passed it off as maybe a flaw in the writing, and it's possible Markiplier and the creator of the Iron Lung game, David Szymanski, sorry if I pronounced that poorly, may have needed some more writers to iron out the confusing moments in this movie to make it make more sense. And on Monday night at around 10 p.m., it hit me. That's the point. I realized that Iron Lung is supposed to be confusing, not because it's poorly written or cops out at trying to give answers, but because that's not the point of the movie. And my video that I had worked very hard on no longer reflects my emotion and has no right to be published. This video is made the day before you're watching this because I cracked the code, and in order to stick with my schedule, I had to do it really quickly. Without further ado, let's talk about Iron Lung. To start this video out, spoilers, and I just wanted to say I'm very proud of Markiplier and his team for becoming the #1 movie in the US. And I'm truly honored to delve into this movie with this video, but make sure to like, comment, hype, and subscribe just so you can let me know if you like this style of video or not. Overall, there is one big message that this movie conveys that I feel may have flown over a lot of people's heads on their first viewing. It sure did when I watched it, but upon a rewatch, I figured out the movie is about acceptance, specifically when the cause you're fighting for is bigger than you. Markiplier's character Simon started off as a convict wanting freedom above anything else, before ending the movie off rejecting his want for freedom and accepting his need to save this black box that is the last hope for humanity. Obviously, this movie is an adrenaline-filled slow burn, but regardless of who you are, can we all agree that this movie is genuinely confusing? There are a lot of world building and plot points that go unsolved by the end of this, and personally while rewatching it, I felt like although I was paying more attention to the places I had questions on, I feel like I was left more confused than my first watch. So leading us back to the very start of this video, before falling asleep, it hit me. The point of Iron Lung and its message about accepting when something is bigger than you makes this movie 10 times better than if everything is explained to you in the end. Ambiguity, or in simpler terms, I guess, is basically when you don't get answers and it's left up to your interpretation, can obviously be very frustrating. But it's purposely really ambiguous in Iron Lung in order to make Simon's story much more tragic. Our perspective throughout the entire movie is Simon. From beginning to end, we follow him, and the only thing we get to see that Simon doesn't get to see is the black box making it up to the surface, giving the story a short epilogue after the exhausting journey we went on. There is a great deal of holding back on telling the audience information in order to keep a sense of dread of what could possibly happen next. For example, I'm sure no one was expecting for the ship to suddenly come alive and pin Simon to both of the walls. It's also there when we watch the blood seemingly mutate to harm Simon at the end of the movie, whereas it was harmless for the first time it splattered on him. Simon is as in the dark as the audience is, and again, that's the point. In order to fully immerse the audience into Simon's predicament, we need to be confused with him so that when random things happen with no context, we, the audience, feel like we're going insane trying to understand what exactly is real and what's in his head. To break this away from just the movie, the game of Iron Lung itself has a lot of moments where we don't understand what we're looking at or what it is around us. I hate to say it, but Iron Lung the game would be really boring if it was a one-to-one script remake for the film, but that's why, oddly enough, the movie Iron Lung departing away from the ambiguity of the game is what makes the movie fantastic. It takes something that's already pretty hollow in its own and turns it into a journey of random things happening and Simon suffering because of it, without any way to justify what this alien planet is doing to him. Of course, this movie is not going to be for everyone due to its open-endedness, but it's not a lack of creative vision for what these answers are, but a knowledge on how much they want Simon and the audience to know. To speak more on Simon as a character, he's very self-aware of what the audience wants to know. He asks these questions and explores the same way any regular person would if they were in this position themselves. He takes notes of weird things, he asks questions, and he reacts to different scares the same way anyone else would. I think the best example is when he's combating the O-breach siren and how he just bashes the intercom because he's been through so much and can't stand to hear that anymore. It's those little things that make us really like Simon and want to see him live because because he is the only one giving us anything of what we want to know. Here's the thing though, this is what I would argue makes Simon an even sadder character than we realize. Simon's character arc, as mentioned, is about acceptance, and during the final stretches of the movie does he finally learn to accept that his journey is bigger than him. And this is what I and most people miss while watching it. This is only a glimpse into the vast yet literally dead universe, and I desperately hope we never get a sequel due to the fact that if the audience isn't accepting that this movie is bigger than them, they're watching the movie wrong. The writing makes Simon relatable to us, they make him likable, and they give him depth through all of the abuse he goes through as he loses his mind. The hope at the end, I can assume, is that we are supposed to accept that Simon was never going to live, and that we will never fully realize what this movie is trying to build in terms of its world, but once again, that's the point. Simon goes through hell and back just to die at the bottom of an ocean of blood without the freedom he was promised by Ava. And those last 5 minutes are crazy, chaotic moments of Simon's breaking point, leading him to his final conclusion to save the black box at all costs. Iron Lung is really a tragedy. It's a story about a man who was, to our knowledge, falsely accused for ruining humanity's last chance, only to find humanity's actual last chance and showing he's a changed person by saving it. Although throughout his journey he is met with the unimaginable and he loses his arm, mind, and life to it, but sadly, he was always going to die in the end. As that message said in the beginning of the movie, this is an execution, and as soon as he entered the Iron Lung, he was never making it out. And what this movie is expecting you to feel by the end is a sense of acceptance that the events we witnessed were all for the greater good, because all along, this story was bigger than Simon, bigger than Ava, and of course, bigger than the audience. Sadly, there is a downside to all of this that I'd be curious to hear from Mark or David themselves. Was this actually purposeful, or is this video excusing overambition and not enough time? I don't want to come across like those conformity gate people, but I can't help but believe that unlike that, this theory is true. I really wish I could sit down with the two of them, or at least one of them, to talk about the story and if Iron Lung really is the masterclass in ambiguity that the title of this video suggests it is. Regardless, I hope this video maybe inspired you to come up with your own take on the film, or even go watch it in theaters again if you have the chance. I know I really liked it myself, and having my epiphany about the possible meaning of the film definitely made me excited to watch it again in the future. I thought about this for a while, but if you are interested in my full review for Iron Lung in the original video that was supposed to come out today, click that link in the top corner to hear my out-of-theater reaction to the film. It's definitely changed now, and some of my criticisms don't bother me anymore, but I think it's still a fun watch and not completely worth scrapping. I think it has a nice message for Markiplier and how we as an audience can help shape Mark's next project into something even greater next time. Also, funnily enough, my outro is slightly inspired by Markiplier, so with that said, thank you everybody for watching. I'm Enchanted. Bye.